Have you thought this through?
No way will that work.
Are you sure? Is there any money in that?
You'll never make any money doing that. How are you going to pay the mortgage? Just get a job.
You're going to try to sell that? Why can't you be normal like everybody else?
All right. Were your parents morons too?
The savvy entrepreneur to the rescue.
Congratulations. That really turned out well.
Really good job.
I'm going to admit it. I'm surprised.
You know, I wish I thought of that.
I never thought anyone would this. How did you do that?
I'm so glad you're pursuing your dream.
I wish I had the courage to follow my dreams.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Savvy Entrepreneur Show. I'm Doris Nagel, your host for the next hour. The Savvy Entrepreneur Show has two goals: to share helpful information and resources. If I can help just one of you entrepreneurs out there to not make some of the mistakes I've made, or what some of my guests are going to candidly share that they've made along the way, the show has achieved its purpose. But the second goal of the show is to inspire. Being an entrepreneur is, I think, confusing, lonely. Often you don't know who to turn to or what the right answer is, or whether you're even on the right track. So every week I have guests on the show who are willing to share their stories and their advice. And this week's guest is Monika Joshi. She is the founder and president of The Art of Pure. Monika is on a mission to prove that beauty can be synonymous with sustainability. I think that's a pretty interesting topic because a lot of us use health and beauty products, most of us, hopefully, but I'm not sure I know what goes into some of those products that I put on my body. And I'm sure that's true of some of you out there. So Monika's going to share the story of how she took that on as a cause and has grown a business around it. So Monika, thanks so much for being on the show today. Welcome to the Savvy Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you, Doris. Hi, how are you?
I am absolutely great. It is a gorgeous day here in the North Chicago suburbs.
It's been a glorious day, and thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here. Let's start with just having you talk a little bit about yourself. I mean, who are you as a person and what led you down this path of entrepreneurship?
I've lived here in Chicago for about 6 years or so. Before that, I used to live in New York, and I used to be an investment banker for a very long time.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been working in finance forever, and at a certain point, I was just working too much. I had very little kids. I couldn't spend enough time with them. You know how that story goes, but I was kind of just burnt out. And my husband's originally from here and grew up here in Chicago. So we kind of just decided to make a move to Chicago and, just start a different chapter of our life. So we moved here and, we've been obviously happy. I have a lot more time with my kids. So yeah, this is where it all began. I mean, I had an itch to do something. And I've always been one of those people who do like to lead a healthy lifestyle. I like to eat healthy, exercise, kind of take care of not just me, but my kids and my husband as well. And there was a time when my younger daughter was experiencing a lot of eczema and just other, skin issues and stuff. And that just made me go on to this hunt for more natural products because her derm was asking us to put her on steroids, which I was really not for. And I just, had to figure something out. I thought there had to be a way to just cure it with some natural products or something else without any strong steroids. So
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? In our style of medicine here in this country, it's the first reaction is to write a prescription for something, right?
Yes, that is true. There's no other alternative, right? So
well, there are other alternatives.
Exactly.
So
I think the doctors always think that there's nothing else. I mean, if you're coming to me, this is what should happen, and this is what I'd like you to do. But it's never explored. Like you don't explore, more natural way to fix or cure any issues, which is kind of sad, but
it's a little arrogant if you ask me.
It is.
Because there are so many things the way the body and the mind are connected that we don't even know about.
No, it is. And, I have an Indian background and I lived in India for a long time when I was little. And there, the doctor was always the last choice. Like that was the last thing, the last person that you visit to. Otherwise, it was always trying to help your body heal on its own with various different remedies and natural products. If it didn't happen, then you go to the doctor. Here, I think it's the other way around for a lot of people.
Well, I think that is fortunately changing. And I think
I hope so.
That's a good thing for your business. But I mean, obviously the supplements business is just exploding. So I think there's lots of people who care about what they put into their body and are looking to find natural solutions.
There are.
So continue the story. So how did your concern about your daughter's skin problems lead to the Art of Pure?
So as I was looking and searching for better products, I wasn't able to find too many places where I could just, research ingredients or research products that would actually help with certain conditions. And there were just very few. And I didn't want to go to the health food store and buy those products. I wanted to feel nicer. It had to feel good, and I needed to have a transparent list of ingredients that I could refer to. And I wanted to make sure that anything that went into those products were natural and, most cases organic. I eventually stumbled upon a couple of brands that actually worked for her. And so I was converted at that point with the kind of products I was looking for. And then coincidentally, that was also one of the brands that I also brought into my business online, selling them, and they're doing phenomenally well. But yeah, so that's how basically I started. I wanted to share these kind of products with everybody and anybody that was looking for natural stuff, but in a very transparent manner. And, trying to share what goes into these products, trying to share how they're manufactured, because a lot of these natural organic products are made in small batches and not necessarily produced in large labs, the way
they're not made by Procter and Gamble is going to be, not to single them out, but just as an example.
Right, exactly. So a lot of these products are just, made in small little labs, not by huge factories or anything. And that's really tells us how much care and how much thought really goes behind producing all these products, because the sourcing has to be impeccable. I think for me, it's always been important that I know exactly where the ingredients are sourced from for these products and brands that I do bring in. Sourcing of the ingredients are important. The way they're manufactured are important. A lot of these products that we use conventionally, they have a ton of fillers, a lot of them are just basically 70% water and maybe 10% few ingredients that we actually want and will benefit our skin.
How do you go about finding these products? I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes and figure out how in the world would I even get started? I mean, so you had these couple of products from this one company, but it's hard to build a whole business around just that. I assume your goal is to have a whole range of products, meaning you've got to find a bunch of these kind of companies out there.
Right. So, initially it was just a lot of, Google and Instagram. Instagram is great for so many different products, right? And so many different categories that you want to explore. So I was able to find a bunch of brands that totally met the values and the ethos that I wanted to bring in as far as brands go. And so I did find a bunch of them there. And then there were many trade expos that I went to that I stumbled upon a few brands, that actually were great, and there were obviously a lot of these brands are smaller. They don't have that much budget for ads and public relations and all this other stuff. So they kind of are under the radar, but their products are just phenomenal. And when people do try them out and actually use them for a while, they are converted fans. So
yeah. Are most of these companies receptive to having you help market and sell their products? Or are some of them kind of like, no, we have our secrets and we're doing fine. Thank you very much.
No, there's always a mixed bag. I think there are some that are more than happy, to partner with you. It's a mutual relationship after all, right? I mean, I'm through my business trying to get their products into the hands of the final consumer. And the same for me, like they're willing to take a chance on somebody like me. So it's obviously a two-way street, but there are some brands who don't want to necessarily work with either an online business, that's one thing, or somebody who is just too small, right?
Yeah. Right.
So those are obviously two challenges that I've always faced from day one, because my business was always an online only, like an e-commerce business. And they prefer to work with brick and mortar stores and wanted to have their products been showcased in stores and, let people come and discover or feel and touch and try on the products. So
right. And smell them and
right.
Know how they feel. I can understand it's a very
tactile kind of products, right? So the more their interaction with the products, the better it is for the brand, because then they are able to, kind of convince people to buy those products.
Right.
But yeah, so those were the challenges that I've always had from day one.
It's funny because at some point they're going to worry that you're too big.
Right. It's either too small or too big. So,
it's the Goldilocks problem, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that at some point companies are going to start approaching you. Has that happened yet?
That has, after I think the first year or so. I mean, I've been doing this for about 3.5, 4 years now, but after the first year, I saw many more brands come and approach us and try to get us to work with them and just list those brands and products on the website. And, it's also a catch-22 situation for us, because as much as sometimes I love the brands and products, sometimes they just are either not the right fit, or, there's just something that they still need to work on or fine tune in order to be able to attract the kind of customers and sales that would make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, speaking of customers, how did you know that there was a market for these products? I mean, you knew you wanted them, but How did you know lots of other people did too?
At that point, when I did start the business, I think it was the time when the whole health scene was really, really starting to become pretty big. Everybody was into yoga and Pilates and spinning and this and that. And, right. And everybody also already was pretty good about eating healthy. I think majority of people in the cities are, healthy. They like taking walks, they work out, they eat healthy, they really conscious and thoughtful about what they're eating and the quality of their foods. And, this whole locally grown and consuming kind of a movement was going on. So I think it was just a progression. Like it just felt like if people are really thoughtful about where their food is coming from, it was only a matter of time before people started to really think and wonder and question what was in their skincare and personal care products. So
yeah. How did they find you though? Well, I guess first question is really how did you build the e-commerce machinery to offer this? You're an investment banker, so you know a lot about funding and some aspects of business, but I'm guessing as an investment banker, you never had to build an e-commerce platform before.
No. I mean, you're right. I never had anything to do with, IT or retail or all those aspects of business. But, there's a platform called Shopify. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but
yes, it's a very popular e-commerce platform. In fact, I've had entrepreneurs on the show swear that frankly, it is the only way to go. I don't know about that, but it sounds like
I don't know. It worked for us. And I would say for somebody like me who really had no clue, no experience, it was completely like dummy proof. Like you could not make a mistake. It was very easy to set up the store, very easy to populate all the products and make it aesthetically pleasing and also get every information and all the stuff that you needed to in there. And it was quick. I mean, I didn't have to hire anybody. It was just pretty much me getting the website all set up. So it didn't take me too long. It probably was like about 3 months, maybe. I was up and running from start to finish, but it was frankly very easy. So I would recommend Shopify to anybody who wants to just, get it done cheaply and get it done quickly. And, who doesn't have any experience with IT and coding and making websites. So,
wow, that is quite a testimonial. I should consider having somebody from Shopify on the show to walk through how easy it is and why it's a platform. All right, so you've got the platform, and that's amazing that resource is out there. But still, you have to have customers find you. How did you accomplish that?
I will say that from the time we were open up until now, we do rely on Google for a lot of the customers that come in to the website. Google Ads is one. We do Facebook and Instagram marketing somewhat. I will say that has become pretty expensive in the recent past. So that percentage of any ad dollars that go to Facebook and Instagram has reduced, but Google is still a large percentage of where we get our customers from. And then we have like a bunch of just repeat customers. They just stick around they've been with us probably pretty much from day one, and they've, they keep buying and they're around for it all. We keep introducing new brands and new products. So there's always
people
something
keep coming back, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic. Were you self-funded essentially? Or
pretty much. Yes.
Outside funding?
No outside funding yet. Just self-funded so far.
Well, I guess with your investment banking background, when you decide you are ready to find funding, if that point ever comes, you'll be well prepared for that. What were some of the biggest roadblocks in getting started?
I don't think I've had that many, fortunately. I mean, the funding is always one, but we were able to scrape through enough to just get the website launched and get as many brands and products that we could afford comfortably, and get the website launched and just start. I think that was the most important part for me, was just get it up and running and start. I feel now, as I have been in business for the last 4 years, it's always been a challenge to get more brands and more products onto the website. And like we were discussing, I'm in a place where I'm not small, but I'm not big. And there are certain brands that I would love to work with that don't want to work with us necessarily yet, because we're not big enough and we don't have a store and we're just online only. So that's one major issue that I keep facing time and time again. But, the good thing is that we are opening a brick and mortar now.
Oh, you are? How interesting.
Yes, we are.
I was going to ask you about that and your business model, but you just segued right into it.
Yeah. No, we are. So we've signed a lease where our construction is underway, and We should be open mid-November. There's a really beautiful space in Lincoln Park, right on Armitage. It's actually really, really nice. We're really happy to be there. And now that we do have this store lined up, it's actually been a lot easier and much better to just get more brands and find more brands that we actually want to work for. So that has been one good thing.
Yeah. With e-commerce, I know a lot of companies, they don't actually buy the products. They place orders and then the manufacturer ships the products. Is that how yours is set up or?
No.
So you actually have warehoused the products from the beginning, huh?
No, we have bought products from brands and we have a warehouse. We're just storing them there, and that's where we fulfill our orders from. So most of these brands are so small and their products are such that they don't really want it to be drop shipped. They want there to be like a personal connection with all the brands and all the products that go out. And that's how we like it as well. I mean, we want to be able to cultivate that relationship with the consumer and with the brands and kind of make it a special purchase for every customer.
Well, I'm guessing that will make it easy for you to transition to an in-store model since you already own the product. But I'm guessing that creates a bit of a cash flow challenge in that you have to buy the products and then there's a lag between buying all those products and selling them. And you have to be pretty good about being able to forecast what customers are going to purchase.
It is. And it's always a challenge. Right now, we're just going through all the inventory that we do have to order for the opening and also for the Black Friday period, because that is one of our largest, sales times, I would say.
Right.
And so it's been a challenge because we do have to account for not just the opening, but for the Thanksgiving time period. And we have been racking up some credit card expenses.
I'm just imagining too the furnishing of the store and really designing. It's so important with your products to design the feel and the experience you want your customers to have. That I'm sure you spent a lot of time envisioning that and trying to make sure that you get that right.
No, and we've hired a designer. She's come up with a great design, which really does communicate our values. We wanted to just keep it light and airy and go with the earthy tones and keep it clean and minimal. I don't want it to be overwhelming with products. Like I necessarily don't need it to be cluttered, let's just say, but clean and minimal and just not confusing to find the products or the categories that that you're looking for. So
and I'm sure it's been a challenge hiring people too, because the kind of people you hire for your store might be. Talk about how you've thought through that process.
I have a couple of people I know in the industry that I have been reached out to for, help with hiring. And you're right. It's been a challenge to say the least. I mean, sometimes you just feel like there are not enough people applying to the job. And then other times they're just not the caliber of people that you really want to hire. So it's obviously a challenge, but we're just hoping by the end of the month, we have a bunch of employees that will be happy to work for us and, that share the same passion that we do.
That is enormously exciting to open your first brick and mortar store. So kudos to you for taking that plunge. Talk about how your business has grown. I mean, obviously it has. In order for you to feel comfortable taking the plunge to create a brick and mortar store. Talk about that process.
Like I was saying, we've been in business for about 4 years. I will say that the first year was kind of slow. There was lots of things in the business probably that I was still figuring out and learning as I was going. So the first year was slower, but it picked up quite a bit after that. After processes and everything was in place, and I got to know how to run a business, I guess. And that worked. And then COVID hit. The first few months of COVID was actually good for us because we are an e-commerce business. So when everything was shut down, it was great that people found us and could purchase products from us. And it has been going pretty well so far. So I think for us, it was always like a natural progression to get into a brick and mortar, because I feel like we had just hit a wall where beyond a certain point, I did not think that I would really grow as much as I wanted to. And the only way to grow was to have a brick and mortar, because again, it was coming down to the kind of brands I wanted to work with and the products I wanted to offer, and just the way I wanted to build community and showcase what our values were, and have people just come in and try and talk about the products or try the products before they bought them. That all made a big difference. And I think that the next step for us was to have the brick and mortar. And so that's where we are right now. And we're hoping that from here, just, obviously grows, and hopefully we can have a few more locations someday.
Well, I was going to ask you what your growth plans for the future look like. So if you're successful, what will the business look like 3 years from now?
I mean, like I said, I think it will turn into a few more locations. I think people are really ready for, smaller, more personable, clean beauty and wellness stores like ours. And I think just being wherever the consumer wants to meet you is where we'll be. So I feel like we're going to be at least in a few more cities by hopefully in the next 3 years.
Oh, so not just locations in Chicago, but in other cities too.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
I think lots of cities are ready for it. So
that's exciting. Well, in fact, I was going to say, if you can make it in Chicago, not that Chicago is, a bad place, but it's probably not, maybe I'm being too judgmental about my home city, but it's probably doesn't have the largest population of people who focus on that. I would picture maybe more of the West Coast,
West or East Coast,
and East Coast, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Is that where a lot of your consumers are from your website?
Yeah, a lot of consumers are actually from the West Coast and East Coast. There are obviously a number from the Midwest as well, but I feel like the people along the coast are probably the most healthiest and probably the most health conscious, I should say. And they're
that's certainly the stereotype anyway, for sure.
Right. And I think that's what it is. That's why they purchase these products, which obviously go hand in hand with just healthy.
Well, there are definitely countries other than the U.S. where there's a huge focus on natural products. Have you had inquiries from people outside the U.S.?
We do get occasional buyers from other countries. The problem always is, shipping. It's easier for them to purchase those same products if they wanted to from some other website, which is local to them versus from the States. So that's been our experience so far.
The export requirements or the cost of shipping, or both?
The cost of shipping, both primarily, but mostly the cost of shipping.
Well, looking back, what would you say was the hardest part about starting your business?
I mean, I came at this whole business with zero experience in retail, in building a website, in marketing, in just running a business in general. And I think that just the whole process, learning it getting on board to social media, I mean, that was a huge deal for me because I've never been a big social media user. So it was kind of just learning it.
Yeah. And there's a lot to learn and it changes fast.
Yes, there's a lot to learn. And when you're someone who doesn't really love being on camera, so to say, it's harder. And then, every other aspect of the business, like figuring out how to ship product, do every little detail of your business, you really have to figure out. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you actually don't know it, and it was just starting. I think that first year was a huge learning experience for me. And
every time you turn around, it's a new mountain to scale.
Yes. And that's the challenge at hand for the next, couple of weeks. And then you figure that out and move on to another challenge and so on and so forth.
Were there resources that you found particularly helpful? I mean, how did you find answers to some of these questions?
It's always, it has been hard to find answers from somebody you can go to. I haven't had very good luck with that so far, but I think a lot of answers are generally available on Google and YouTube, right? So I think
there's a YouTube video for everything.
There literally is for everything. So it's been easier that way. At least, I didn't start a business like 20 years ago when all this information wasn't available, and then it would have been like 10 times as hard. So, we live in an age where anybody can start a business and figure things out as they go and learn online and, just get it started. So it's been great that way.
So flip side of that, what's been the best part about having your own business?
I will say the best part is just, trying to help people. I get to have conversations with a lot of women who are looking for products. It's always nice just to talk to the end consumer, try to figure out what they want, what they need, what they're looking for, and, help them that way. And also I'll say the best part of owning a business in general is just kind of having a vision for it and being able to execute it on your own without anybody really telling you yes or no. I mean, when you're working at a job, I don't think you ever can say that I know how to do this better than my boss. And I know where this business should go and I will take it there. Like that would probably never happen.
Well, even if you do, my experience is when you volunteer that, oftentimes it's not really welcome.
It's not right. It's not really something that, it's not very welcome. Right. So, I mean, in this place, I feel like it's just, I can take the business wherever I want, however slow I want, however fast I want. I can take it as big as I want, small as I want, whatever it is. It's my vision to execute, and I am the one responsible for executing it. So
where do you find inspiration when you had a bad day or run into a tough spot?
I feel like it's just moving on to every challenge, right? There's always going to be a new challenge that comes up, but it's about getting past that one thing and keeping the eye on the prize. If right now, if I feel like I'm so bogged down with one task and I just don't feel it, I move on to another challenge. And I feel like that's one thing. Maybe I try to do something more creative and work with that challenge or work with that task and knock that off, and then come back to something else that I wasn't really willing or wanting to do. So,
well, it is hard because as an entrepreneur and a founder, you need to wear a lot of different hats, and we all don't wear all those hats equally well. Mm-hmm. So that's always a challenge. The human nature is to do more of the things that we're good at and that we like.
Yes.
And that's not always the best strategy when you have a small business.
No.
Do you think you'll ever get tired of working on this business? And if so, what else might you do?
I don't think I'll get tired. Like I think it's just going to be an ever evolving business. I feel like it's going to be changing. I think that there's just going to be a bunch of challenges and strategic initiatives that will come up that will keep me busy and motivated to just keep going with this business, because I think there's so much more potential than I have. I feel like I've just scratched the surface, and I feel I'm just getting started. And I think I have a lot of years ahead of me. So
do you think you might even develop a line of products? I mean, I'm envisioning that you find several products that are great, but then there may be areas where you're like, why can't I find this or that?
Right. And no, that's something that has been on my mind. And that is something that I probably will explore next year. Yeah, that's something that definitely that I want to get into, but what that will look like and how it will come about is something, that I'll probably have to look into more detail probably next year.
Well, if you're ever interested, I'll put you in touch with one of my past guests, Kyle LaFond, who's at a company called American Provenance.
Oh, okay.
He's developed a whole line of natural products, mostly men's grooming products. And I have a feeling the two of you would enjoy chatting. So,
oh yeah, definitely. I'd love the introduction.
Yeah, he's not that far away. He's near Madison, Wisconsin. So looking back at your journey, what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs?
Don't let anything get in your way. I mean, if you want to do something, don't let experience or lack of knowledge or, time or family or anything else could just get in the way. You just have to get up and do it, and try to seek out and surround yourself with other entrepreneurs and people who will be able to give you advice, because sometimes this really is a lonely journey, and sometimes you don't know who to turn to or to ask any questions that you might have. Even the most mundane, sometimes you just feel like, you don't want to ask that question. But I think if you do surround yourself with women entrepreneurs or people who have some sort of business or done something, then it just makes that path a little bit easier and make less mistakes and waste less time.
Any advice for how to find some of those entrepreneurs? Because one of the challenges is that entrepreneurs are very busy people. So
yeah,
how do you find some of those people to fill your community?
That's a good question. I think it's so hard to find entrepreneurs that you can count on. But I would say, I mean, sometimes I have had good experience even just talking to founders of the brands that I work with. They are a lot of times open and, will point you in the right direction of any issues or questions that you might have. So it's just that if you have other vendors, suppliers, people that you are in touch with, those people could be a pretty good resource. And, and then, I would even talk to like people who you interact with on a daily basis, some coffee shop. And if you know people that, no kidding. I mean, those people will be open to just, answering some questions. I mean, the nail salon maybe that you go to, someplace, there are always entrepreneurs that we all interact with. And if you can get, friendly with somebody, that's all you probably need.
Yeah. Great advice. Well, one last question for you, Monika. If people are interested in chatting with you, maybe they have a line of products, maybe they have a similar objective, or maybe they are just interested in learning more about your products to buy. What's the best way for them to connect?
So obviously I have the website. It's called artofpure.com. There's a contact us kind of a page. So you can definitely reach out, fill out the form there. You can also just email us. There's an email address there. Just email us and I'll definitely get those emails because yeah, it's pretty much just me and a couple of other part-timers right now. So I'll be seeing those emails.
You're big. You're getting bigger, but not quite that big yet.
Not quite that big yet. Let's see. I mean, I'm thinking by November and December I'll be pretty busy and people will be filling in a lot for me. But till then, it's me.
Well, I cannot wait to watch the progress of the story of your business. And I hope that the opening of your brand new flagship store in Chicago is an enormous success. And I will definitely look for it when I'm down in that area. And
definitely do. Come visit us.
I'll watch your story with interest and cheer you on. And if I can be of assistance to you, please don't hesitate to reach out. So thank you so much, Monika, for being on the show this week.
Thank you, Doris. Thank you for having me.
It was great to have you.
Thanks. Nice talking to you.
Well, thank you I'm sorry?
Nice talking to you.
It was great talking with you as well. Today, in the time we have left, I'd like to talk about a disconnect that I've often seen with the entrepreneurs I've coached or mentored or even talked with friends and colleagues about. There are many disconnects often, but one in particular that I think is common is the disconnect between what you as the entrepreneur want from the business and the risks you're willing to take. It's not just a theoretical disconnect. I'd argue you can't develop meaningful goals for your business without reconciling this conflict. Let's deconstruct that and then talk about a couple of examples. First, it's critical that you're clear about what you want from the business. Think about that. Is it income? Yes, of course, but how much? Is it more important for you to make a comfortable wage, or are you hoping to make a lot of money growing and selling your business? How important is it for you to change people's lives, give back to your community, or simply make something cool? Is it because you like building things, fixing a problem, making customers smile? Ask yourself, why do you want to create this business, or exactly why did you create the one that you have? What brings you the most pleasure about it? Some people tell me, I don't know, I just don't want to work for the man or the woman, but that's not enough clarity to move forward with a successful business. I always admire those people who seem very clear on their why. Some people, I suspect, maybe because I'm a little jealous, clearly state why they started and are running the business they are. I'm not always sure if it's the truth or that they've just perfected a good storyline. But in any case, there clearly are some of you out there who are really clear about why you started and are growing your business every day. And if you have that clarity, you are indeed lucky. I think many of us aren't very clear about why we started the business we did or why we worked so hard at it. And if you're struggling with your why, I have recommended in the past and wholeheartedly continue to recommend, again, Simon Sinek books, Start With Why, and his follow-up book, Find Your Why. There are lots of exercises out there on the internet. Some of the best are linked on my website at thesavvyentrepreneur.org. But I think Sinek's books are among the best. It's difficult to see ourselves clearly sometimes. And what I like about the books is that they take you through some of the mental and emotional preparation that's needed to see ourselves and our motivations more clearly. So that's the side about what we entrepreneurs want from our business. Now let's talk about the other side. What risks are you willing to take? Risk can come in lots of forms. I think most of us probably focus on the financial aspects, and that's a pretty important one. Are you willing to mortgage your house or take on a second mortgage? Are you willing to spend out all your savings? Do you have enough cash saved up that you can live on for several months or maybe even a couple of years? Are you willing to tap into your IRA? Are you willing to take out a loan or borrow from the bank or from friends and family? And it's not just money. The risks come in other forms. Are you willing to move out of your comfort zone, sometimes frequently? Receive criticism. Have friends and family think you're crazy. Spend long, long hours away from your family. And take risks when you have no idea sometimes whether you're making the right decision. Whatever the risks of your particular business and situation, make sure you've thought those through and have very explicitly discussed those with your family as well as your business partners. As we talked about last week in the interview with Elaine Fry, all too often the costs are greater than we anticipate, and that can leave you feeling stressed, overworked, sometimes not even enjoying the process of working in this business, but feeling trapped because you've come so far to throw it all away. I've seen quite a number of would-be entrepreneurs who can't move forward because they simply cannot reconcile the disconnect between what they want in their business and the risks they're willing to take. There's a woman I know who wanted the security of a franchise restaurant model, but she dreamed of creating new interesting dishes with her daughter. Not a likely combination to be successful. Another woman wanted to open a high-end daycare, but didn't have much cash and was unwilling to mortgage her home or tap into her IRA to finance the facility investment she would need to make. Then there was the physician with a novel medical device who really dreamt about being the CEO, but couldn't accept the idea of taking less as compensation than his current salary as a doctor with a successful practice. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, not the likely salary of a startup CEO. Another man had his grandmother's best cupcake recipe that everybody loved, but he couldn't make any decisions about how to create a business around this because it was clear he was uncomfortable with taking many risks. As we talked about last week, the answers to these questions will drive a lot of your daily decisions. How you spend your time, who you hire, what you delegate to them, how you invest in the business, and even where you look for funding and how much you're seeking. As I said earlier, I personally do not believe it is possible to make meaningful goals for your business without being clear about the trade-off between what you want and what you're willing to risk. And if you don't have meaningful goals, it's very difficult to develop a strategy. I'd say pretty much impossible. You may find the risks are greater than anticipated as you go along, and so your goals may change once you realize that. And that's okay. It's a normal part of the journey, but your path will be much clearer if you've got a good handle on what you want from your business and the risks you're willing to take from the very start. Well, folks, that's our show for this week. It's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have questions or want more information or just want to shoot the breeze, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at dnagel@thesavvyentrepreneur.org. You'll always get an answer back from me. Now, there's also a library of tools, of blogs, podcasts, and other free resources there. So take a gander when you get a chance. Meanwhile, once more, a special shout out to Monika Joshi, the founder and president of Art of Pure, who is my guest this week. Be sure to join me again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. But until then, I'm Doris Nagel, wishing you happy entrepreneuring.